Hello there guys, it's me KSL of KSL Tech Studios, back once again, and as you can see right here, you guys might recognize this computer from a few videos ago. It is my 2017 budget Hackintosh, and it's time for it to go. Really, I don't really have a use for it, and although it's been a pretty decent system and it's been pretty stable, I kind of have bigger plans in the future, and this doesn't really fit into it. However, we're not going to rip it apart and smash it in a blaze of glory or anything like that. We are going to reassemble it into a brand new case, which is conveniently off camera because I don't have enough space. However, in order to reassemble something, we must first disassemble it. So let's get to it. So I think first we got to take both of the side panels off because, you know, that's something. I have to make sure I keep all my screws in one place, because otherwise I won't, I'm either keeping or selling this PC case. I better keep everything together. So I'm just taking the 4 thumb screws off of the side panel here. I'd turn it around, but this computer's heavy, I don't feel like doing that. Okay. This side panel's always been a little bit difficult to take off, so here's one of the side panels. You can throw that aside. I believe both of the side panels are exactly the same, so they're interchangeable. I think. Don't quote me on that. Okay. So, there's 2 of the side panels out. So this is this side. And, yeah. So I think what we're going to just start pulling all the connectors off of the board first. And then we will take the board out, which is ultimately the most important part that we have to take out because that's what we're going to be transplanting. And as you can tell, I no longer have a GPU in here because I actually recently sold it because, as you guys may know if you're into the Hackintosh community, Nvidia does not have drivers, web drivers, for Mojave. So you can only feasibly go up to High Sierra on a system. And since this computer is, it's a 6 series, basically meaning it has a 600 series chipset, we do not have the ability to boot UEFI, which is another reason why I'm ultimately sacking it. So, it's kind of sad, but it's going to have another good home. It's becoming my home theater PC in the new case, so I don't feel too bad for doing this. So we better get started and start pulling connectors out. So I think the best course of action now is to start taking out all of the screws for the motherboard, and then very carefully trying to take the motherboard out. I think this might be the last screw. I think picking it up by the CPU cooler is probably the best course of action. And you just kind of pivot it outwards. See? And that's how you take it out. Now, the reason I'm picking it up by the CPU cooler is because the motherboard is, it's screwed into the motherboard. I wouldn't trust the stock coolers. So we're going to pop out the little I/O plate. I hope we can do that without needing tools or without cutting ourselves. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to muscle it out. There we go. There we go, it's out. Yeah, we're going to need this to put into our new motherboard. Okay. Other than that, maybe it's a good idea to take out the hard drives at least. So right here I have my SSD. my 160 gigabyte SSD, which I'm definitely using in the new build, except instead of Mac OS Sierra, it's going to have Windows 7. Scrounge up a license key for that. Let me find it. Okay. Just pulled out the serial ATA connectors for those two, both the hard drive and the SSD. I feel like the hard drive, yeah, it slides out this way. Alright, I'm back. I had an issue with my camera there. It says it's out of memory card, but I don't think it should be out of memory card. Yeah, this is just my data drive. It keeps all my files. There's no actual boot partition on here. So that can safely go over there. Not sure what I'll be doing with it quite yet, but... And so finally we should probably take out the screws that are keeping in the SSD. There's nothing more valuable in this computer other than the SSD, which I will be using in the new build. Finally, it's time to bring in the new case. So this is the new case that I bought. It is an HEC Compucase. I'll put the model number somewhere in the video. I don't exactly remember it. It is one of these slim case type deals though. So this is going to go into my media center in my living room. I'm not going to show you that because there's people there. So this is about the right size to go into the media center in my living room. It was $90 Canadian shipped. It was free shipping, which is good. I rarely buy anything if it doesn't have free shipping. And there was another one, YouTube user V Westlife. He's in my recommended channels that I put there in the sidebar. You should really check him out. He did a similar recasing of his compact tower into a different slimline case. It was an in-wing case. And they do still make them, and a local computer store carried them for $85, but I kind of have a vendetta against that computer store, mostly because of the incident that happened when I was buying the other case. So I'm trying to avoid giving them any more money, and it's a chain place, so it's not like I'm contributing to the local economy or anything that much. Really, they're a national chain. If you're wondering, it's called Memory Express, but yeah, I bought this off Newegg. It was pretty good price. And so a few things. I did already unpackage this just to take a look at it, just to make sure it wasn't dented. On their pictures, they did demonstrate that there would be a FireWire port. However, this one does not have a FireWire port. And yes, I did check behind the front panel, and there is no place for a FireWire port in this computer at all. Which kind of sucks, but I could understand why they didn't do that, because again, not every motherboard has FireWire. Except for mine, which does actually have a FireWire port on it, but so be it. This case, it's pretty well made. It does come with a 300 watt power supply, which I did look. It is 80 plus bronze rated, so it's not exactly cheap Chinese garbage, but we'll have to tell for longevity's sake how durable it really is. And even though it does not say in their specifications on their website, this does actually have a place to mount a 2.5-inch SSD. Which is really good, because I was honestly contemplating just sticking it in there with some, what's it called? Sticky tack, mounting putty. However, that is not going to be necessary. I'm just going to take off the top case. These are the new case screws. Well, we kind of can tell the new case screws are shiny, whereas the old ones are not. Okay, so this is the top panel. It's bent in 3 sides, but that's fine. So, it's not 2 separate panels, and there is no, like, second panel underneath here that you need to take off, because it's all just one plate. So in order to build into this, and in order to install the motherboard, first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to take off this structural member. That was very confusing how it went in. So I think you just drop it in there, and you pull it in, and that's how it stays. And then in order to take it out, you just push it out. Isn't that interesting? Well, this can stay over here, and I'll put its screw near it so I know where that screw goes. And finally, this does come with its own little back plate, which I thought was funny because all of these have like 1990s era ports on them, which I thought was pretty funny. So you just take it out with your fingers, really. It has like the old style. You have PS2, which I know a lot of motherboards still have. You have like only 2 USB ports, and even the Ethernet port is blocked out because apparently not many people back in the day had a Ethernet, and it has space, like even though it is blocked out, for the MIDI jack, and I just think that's pretty cool. But that's just me. I'd probably save this because I might be doing a vintage computer build, and this could really come in handy, you know, because obviously old eBay motherboards don't always come with I/O shields. But I digress. So I guess we start this build off any other way by putting in our own I/O shield. So it is all the way in now. That's good to know. Really hope I didn't scratch up this front panel, but nah, I didn't do anything to it. I will say this case is a little bit cheaply built. It is kinda, it does kind of have some torsion to it, which I'm not used to, but for $90 plus power supply, honestly, it's not too bad a deal. It does come with a single case fan in the front. It is not PWM capable, meaning it's only 3-pin, but it's alright. I may actually have a fan that is big enough to fit in here, or small enough to fit in here, that does have PWM control, so I'll go search around in my parts bin. Maybe I have it. I'm honestly a little bit doubtful, but I don't know if there's some way I can tip this forward. No, it's permanently attached to the case. So I think our plan of attack to put this motherboard in here, actually I should probably take a look at the various standoffs and see if they're in the right places. Okay, have 1, 2, 3 over here. Yeah, I have 3 over here. I have then 2 right here, which are right here, okay. And then I have 2 over here, which are right here. And then I have, yeah, 1 over here, which is a leftover one. Okay, seems like they do have all of the standoffs pre-installed in here. They're integral to the case, so you don't have to screw anything in. At least there are no standoffs in this bag that is here. So I think first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to set the motherboard in. I think that should do it. So I'm just trying to find a good way I can try to pivot this board in here. I have a lot more horizontal space than I did in the last one, than I did in the other case. Okay, okay, that's better. Okay, one thing. Well, a few things, really. So yeah, this motherboard is a little bit tight in here. It's not, like, extremely tight. However, it's not exactly what you would call loose. There is actually a little bit of space back here, so you can kind of route your... You can have, like, a trunk of cables going this way. But your serial ATA is right here. So, I don't know. I would say it's pretty mixed so far. So okay. Yeah, so I'm going to start screwing these in. The case comes with a bag of stuff. I'm going to go look through the instructions. I'm going to pick out all the screws, and I'll turn off the camera for that, so you guys don't have to see that. Alrighty then, guys. We were at a kind of an impasse here because I honestly did not know which screws went where. So if you look at their kind of excuse for an instruction manual, it is literally kind of IKEA instructions, and it just tells you what everything is, but never actually tells you like what size of screw you need, which is honestly pretty bad. But I don't know, through process of elimination, I counted that we need 7 screws to the motherboard since there are only 7 standoffs, and I have all 7 standoffs filled. And there seems to be only one category of screw that has 7, and it is these little tiny screws. don't know if you can see that. So really small. I'll just hold one between my fingers here. These are very shaky hands. They're very tiny, and they're like, they have a small head, but then around them it looks like it has a washer. So I think this is the screw that you need. Okay, so the motherboard is in at least. So I'm going to unbundle these power supply cords because I unbundled them before just to take a look at what connectors are on here. But I should probably unbundle them again, just for the sake of, you know, technicalities. I actually don't want to start running power to this quite yet. I think I want to get my front panel connector situation kind of figured out and get my drives mounted first, and only then will I kind of get that going. Alrighty guys, sorry about that. My camera did ultimately have to kick the bucket. So I pulled out the KSLTech Classic camera, which is my Olympus TUF TG620 IHS, which I purchased in 2013 when I started the channel. Didn't think I would be using it? Well, you're wrong. Because, you know, whenever I have a computer-related video on the brain, the battery on my camcorder dies, which sucks. But what will you do about it? Well, buy a bigger battery, but that ain't gonna happen for a little while at least. Yeah, I ran some more cables, and no, it's not pretty, it's actually horrendous. It is pretty ugly, actually. But it should do the job okay. I'm just, looking if it's going to be acceptable for my GPU, which I'll be putting in here in a few weeks' time. I'm still yet to order it from Amazon. But I think now is a good time to take off this front panel and start running SATA cables. I'm still contemplating whether or not I'm going to put this 1.5 terabyte drive in here, but I'm kind of thinking that I won't, because it is, it just has data on it, and this computer is not really used for any data-intensive tasks. It's only really meant for just streaming video services, such as like YouTube, and not really Netflix on this computer. If I need to watch Netflix, I can watch it through my cable box, so that's fine. It's just this computer is here because it has a web browser, and there are certain things we like to watch that require a web browser to use, so that's why this computer even exists, or the idea of this computer even exists. So I did run a few more cables again, and so I do have enough space to plug a fast SATA cable in. did that masterful little routing job, and managed to kind of meander the SSD in, which, well, it worked. Yeah, these two little tiny thumb screws are the ones that you do need to put the SSD in. And I'm trying to find a way to put the data cable into it. Okay. Now, time for a brief intermission while I take a drink and find an optical drive. That's what we're going to add next. Alright guys, I rerouted a few more cables, ran another serial ATA cable to this optical drive here, and yeah, so I'm just going to try and put this in here. Now, that's all that it is right now. So now I think we can use these screws finally to screw this in. So I'm just going to screw it in the interest of saving battery life on this camera. Right, so after much trying, prying, cramming, we are ready to put this thing back together. Now that was an exhausting build. That's not even that late. So in here, what we're going to need to do is we're going to have to take this part off, which is the forward cover for the optical drive. It says more, I'm not sure. There we go. Yeah, it kind of comes out pretty tough. But that's the forward cover for the optical drive. We don't have anything in our 3.5-inch bays here, so we're good to just put this back on and get this optical drive in. Might have to do with a little more. Alrighty, so here we are, guys. Sorry I couldn't finish that part of the video there for you. The camera that I was using, the KSLTech Classic camera, the battery in it died. So what I was going to say was I could not find any screws that fit the optical drive. However, I did find some in my parts bin that did seem to work, so that's always something to keep in mind. And the computer posts, and I'm here ready to install Windows 7. So that's a great time, isn't it? So, come back in a bit. Hello there, everybody. It's me, Kessel, and I'm back with the second installment of my PC home theater PC rebuild project here. And, well, I finally ordered this thing, and I got it in. So, I went with a Gigabyte Nvidia GeForce GT 1030 for the graphics card for this build. I did sell my 1050 Ti because, first of all, it just plain won't fit in here. Second of all, I could kind of make some kind of money off of it because I bought it when the price was fairly low, and the price for Nvidia cards is actually pretty high right now, so I sold it for more than what I bought it for. Funny enough. So, whatever. I bought this card, a Gigabyte GT 1030. It's right here. Like you can see it, it's right off camera. This is what the card looks like. It's just, yes, I did unpack it before. You know, I did kind of ruin that unboxing experience, but let it be that way. So, this is the card. There were 3 main requirements for a video card that I have to put in here. Number 1, must be low profile. Number 2, must make low to zero noise. So for me, I preferred something without a fan because it would just make the whole build a lot better. And finally, it needed to be low power, in that A, it could not have any PCIe power connectors, and it could only use, and it would have the power supply requirement of something like 300 watts. So that's what I did. So we're going to install this thing now, because I really don't like the chipset resident graphics that are in this computer. So I'm just going to take the thumb screws off the back of the case and just stow them away. Yeah, putting this case cover back on is a real pain. I've kind of figured out a way to do it now compared to before. You basically have to just make sure that all the little hooks, as you call them, are like inside of the channel in the thing, in the bottom of the case, and then they'll come off. Alright, there it is. It's off. Hooray. Yeah, we won't even need to take off this brace here to put a card in, I think. I'm just gonna move this over. Okay. And literally, this is as easy as it gets. However, I'm contemplating doing one other thing. Let me get it out. I'll be right back. Alright, and I'm back. This is what I was talking about. So, you might remember these memory modules from my last video. So, I originally bought these on sale for actually a pretty decent price. I paid $50 for the two of them. They're 4GB DDR3L modules, but they'll still work in a DDR3 motherboard, no problem. They're just going to be driven at 1.5 volts rather than 1.35 volts. And I was originally buying it for this computer thinking that my ECC memory would not work. However, it does, and I thought, well, if this is only 8 gig, that's only 8 gig, what's the deal with upgrading? And now I've kind of decided where I'm going to go with my whole computer fleet. Frankly, it's going to be a lot less interesting than a lot of people would imagine, and I really either have two places for this RAM. Either I sell it, which I kind of don't want to do, because I feel like I'd still get less money for it than I would have when I bought it, or put it to use somewhere, and so I'm going to put it to use in the system. Ultimately, I am kind of building this computer as a preparation for 4K content and a 4K television and stuff like that, even though I don't personally have a 4K TV right now. I don't have anything that actually supports 4K other than a few cameras right now, and not this one. So I thought, well, more RAM intensive, higher quality, let's put 12 gigs of RAM in here. Yeah, I will be keeping 2 of the 4 gig sticks from in that thing. So I think I will take off this brace actually. Yeah, I'm just going to grab a screwdriver and get going with this. I'm going to take off the brace. I'm going to loosen the optical drive screws. I may add an optical drive screw actually in here. Okay, so it's all built. Just gonna hook it up to my desktop here, and I'm gonna install the Nvidia drivers, not the crappy Aorus ones that come with the CD with the graphics card. So I'll probably show this hooked up in my media center after it's all done. So I just thought I would show you guys this hooked up to my media center over here. So this is my media center. Here's the computer. I'm gonna push the power button, and we're gonna do a startup test. See how long it takes for it to get going here. I did just install some updates, but there weren't that many, so I hope that it doesn't go for a little restart loop here. Alrighty, there we go. Even the display audio through the HDMI port in the GT 1030 seems to work just fine with this television. So here it is, folks. That's it. Our little project has come to an end. So thank you all for watching, and feel free to leave a comment if you have one.